Ah, it's time to talk about one of my favorite aspects of the plant life cycle, and that is seed dispersal. And to do that, I am going to share one of the best stories ever, and it is called No Monkeys, No Chocolate. And I brought along one of my friends here. This is Alfie, to share No Monkeys, No Chocolate. And I'm going to be reading this to you from a program called Epic, which I'll be sharing with you how to get on that. And you have that program for free until June 30th. And it's just a very vast library of books that I hope you'll be enjoying too. So let's go ahead and get started with No Monkeys, No Chocolate. And this was written by Melissa Stewart and Alan Young, and it was illustrated by Nicole Wong. And you're going to notice that you have these little wise guys down here, and they're kind of telling their own story down below in the corner. Chocolate chip cookies, chocolate ice cream, moist fudgy brownies. What makes all these desserts so delicious? Chocolate, of course. But you can't make chocolate without ... This book is making me hungry. I need a snack. Hey, you'll spoil your dinner. Mind your own bookworm business. Boy, you'll see they're kind of like little wise guys down there in the corner. Cocoa beans. Cocoa beans are the seeds of the cocoa tree. Cocoa trees grow naturally in the tropical rainforests of Central and South America. But today, farmers grow them in other tropical areas too. To make chocolate, workers spread cocoa beans with rakes and dry them in the sun. They roast them in a giant oven. Later, machines smash the beans into a thick paste and squeeze the liquid to make cocoa powder. It gets mixed with a variety of ingredients to make different kinds of chocolate. There's a bunch of beans in this chocolate bar? That's ridiculous. It's true. I read about it in another book. You're such a bookworm. It takes one to know one. Cocoa beans can't develop without cocoa pods. And that's these. Cocoa pods are the fruits of the cocoa tree. They look like small, bumpy footballs growing on the tree's trunk and main branches. Inside each pod, white, gooey pulp surrounds 30 to 40 cocoa beans. Just enough for one, where are you, Alfie? One candy bar. It's a cocoa pod, like an iPod. Very funny. No, it's more like a pea pod. And there they are growing on the sides of the tree trunks and limbs. Cocoa pods can't form without cocoa flowers. And we've already talked about how very important the flowers are and the pollination of those flowers, haven't we? When pollen from one cocoa flower lands on another cocoa flower, a tiny tube opens up inside the blossom. Pollen travels down the tube. As soon as material inside the pollen combines with material deep inside the flower, a new cocoa pod begins to grow with seeds inside. That's what happens inside a flower? Plants are amazing. You can say that again. Plants are amazing. And midges. Those are those tiny flying insects. Before a female midge can lay her eggs, the little insect needs a hearty meal of rich, nutritious cocoa pollen. To find food, she crawls deep inside a cocoa blossom. As the midge climbs out, pollen sticks to her body. When she lands on another cocoa flower, some of the pollen falls off and lands inside the blossom. So that's how cocoa flowers get the pollen they need to make pods and seeds. Yep, no midges, no chocolate. No midges, no chocolate. Cocoa flowers can't bloom without cocoa leaves. As the cocoa leaves soak up sunlight, they make sugar. And we talked about that yesterday. Do you remember what that process is called? That's right, photosynthesis. The sugar travels through veins in each leaf to the tree's branches. Then sugary sap flows through the tree trunk to the rest of the tree. That's how a tree gets the energy it needs to live and grow and make flowers. I thought this book was supposed to be about monkeys. Well, we aren't done yet. The rest must be coming. And maggots. Ugh. As soon as leafcutter ants spot tender new leaves on a cocoa tree, the little insects race to reach them. While the hard-working ants slice up the leaves and carry the pieces back to their nest, female coffin flies land on the ants and lay eggs inside their heads. What? When the eggs hatch, tiny maggots wriggle out and eat the ants' brains. Ugh. Brain-eating maggots? That's disgusting. Maybe, but I'm glad their moms lay eggs inside the ants that destroy cocoa leaves. Cocoa leaves can't survive without cocoa stems. A cocoa tree's trunk is a thick central stem made of wood. Its branches are smaller woody stems. The tree's smallest stems connect leaves to branches. All these stems transport minerals and water from the tree's roots to its leaves. The leaves need the minerals to grow. They use the water to make sugary food for the whole tree. Monkeys! I want monkeys! Shh! I told you not to eat that chocolate bar. It's making you hyper. And lizards. Aphids are little insects that jab holes in a cocoa tree's soft green stems and suck up the sugary juices inside. But a hungry anole is nearby, and an anole is a type of lizard. The little lizard skitters along the tree's branches, eating aphids and other insects. Wow! No lizards, no chocolate. That's right. They eat the insects that harm cocoa stems. Maybe we should write them a thank you note. Cocoa stems can't grow without cocoa roots. A cocoa tree's roots suck up water from the soil. They also absorb minerals such as calcium and iron. The stems and the rest of the tree need these minerals to live and grow. Roots also hold the cocoa tree in place. And we talked about that at the very beginning of our plant life cycle, didn't we? When we talked about those two major roles that roots have in the parts of a plant. Wow, we're really getting to the root of things. Now that's an idiom, isn't it? What does it really mean when someone uses that idiom to get to the root of things? That's right, it means to really get to what someone's really talking about. Quit monkeying around! I'm trying to concentrate. Now that's another idiom. What does it mean to be monkeying around? That's right, it means to be messing around. And fungi. Fungi live in rainforest soil. As they grow, tiny root-like threads called hyphae spread out in every direction. Actually, I think this is pronounced hyphae. Look at that silly word that you would think that is an A. Let's see if we click on it. Oh, look at that. Pronounced hyphae. When hyphae bump into a dead plant or animal, hypha. Oh, it pronounced it for us. Look at that. They absorb the rotting bits and digest the mineral the fungus needs to live and grow. The extra minerals pass out of the hypha into the soil, where they can be absorbed by the roots of nearby cocoa trees. It's a good thing there's a fungus among us. You bet. They supply the minerals that cocoa leaves need to grow. No fungi, no chocolate. Boy, you can really see how in the rainforest and how everywhere in nature, everything's connected, isn't it? Cocoa pods, flowers, leaves, stems, and roots can't grow without cocoa beans. If a cocoa bean lands in just the right place, a tiny root pushes down into the soil. Then a slender shoot stretches up toward the sky. As time passes, the little seedling grows into a tree. When it's about 5 years old, the cocoa tree begins producing flowers and a fruit. Some cocoa trees live up to 60 years. Now wait a minute. I thought cocoa beans were used to make chocolate. Not all of them. There are still plenty left to grow new trees. What a treat! That's so funny, I forgot to laugh. And monkeys! We finally get to it, huh? Monkeys yank pods off cocoa trees, gnaw holes in the fruits, and pull out the sticky insides. As the monkeys travel through the rainforest, they suck on the lemony lime pulp and spit out the beans. Cocoa pods never fall off cocoa trees. If monkeys and a few other animals didn't scatter cocoa beans on the ground, new cocoa trees couldn't grow. So, Alfie, no monkeys, no chocolate. At last, the monkeys! Now that crazy title finally makes sense. That's right. No monkeys, no chocolate. Monkeys spit out the seeds that end up growing into new trees. And here is some factual information that you might want to consider. Cocoa and rainforests. On traditional cocoa farms, workers plant cocoa trees in neat rows with only a few kinds of trees shading them from the sun. Under these conditions, fewer than 5% of all cocoa flowers produce pods. So that would mean that if they planted 100 cocoa trees, only 5 of them would produce pods. Recently, scientists discovered that cocoa trees produce more pods when they grow in patches of thinned-out rainforest, where many other kinds of trees provide shade. These cocoa groves are the perfect home for the midges that pollinate cocoa and the coffin fly maggots that attack leafcutter ants. Remember, they're the ones that lay their eggs in the ants' heads. They're also great places for lizards, monkeys, and other rainforest creatures to find food. Hopefully, more cocoa farmers will begin growing trees in rainforest cocoa groves. In the last 30 years, more than 40% of the world's tropical rainforests have been destroyed. And right now, we're losing 100 acres every minute. At that rate, rainforests could be gone in 50 years. Cocoa groves can do more than provide us with a steady supply of cocoa beans. They can also give many different species of rainforest plants and animals places to live. So, the next time you eat chocolate, a Hershey's bar, or any other kind of chocolate, you just remember, no monkeys, no chocolate. I hope you enjoyed Alfie's tale all about seed dispersal in the rainforest. Thank you for joining us today.